the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga Nitai Gaur Premanandi. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashta Prayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. Welcome to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class in this auspicious month of Kartik, where just by speaking and hearing we are giving pleasure to Shishi Radha Gopinath, our dear Shishi Radha Damodar, Shishi Gaurnitai, Srila Prabhupada, our Guru Parampara, and to all the devotees. So today we are reading from Canto 3, Chapter 32, Text number 20. Chapter title, Entanglement in Fruitive Activities. Dakshinena pataryamna Pitrilokam vrajanti te Prajam anu prajayante Smashananta kriya kritaha Dakshinena pataramya Pitrilokam vrajanti te Prajam anu prajayante Smashananta kriya kritaha. Prabhuji's. Dakshinena pataryamya Pitrilokam vrajanti te Prajam anu prajayante smashananta kriya kritaha dakshinena pataryamna pitrilokam rajanti te prajam anu prajayante smashananta kriya kritaha. Let's look at the word-to-word meaning. Dakshinena, southern. Pada, by the path. Aryamnaha, of the sun. Pitrilokam, to Pitriloka. Brajanti, go. Te, they. Prajam, their families. Anu, along with. Prajayante, they take birth. Smashana, the crematorium. Anta, to the end. Kriya, fruitive activities. Kritaha, performing. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Such materialistic persons are allowed to go to the planet called Pitriloka by the southern course of the sun, but they again come back to this planet and take birth in their own families, beginning again the same fruitive activities from birth to the end of life. Please repeat. Such materialistic persons are allowed to go to the planet called Pitriloka by the southern course of the sun, but they again come back to this planet and take birth in their own families, beginning again the same fruitive activities from birth to the end of life. Purport, please hear. In Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter, verse 21, it is stated that such persons are elevated to the higher planetary systems as soon as their lifetimes of fruitive activity are finished. They return to this planet, and thus they go up and come down. Those who are elevated to the higher planets again come back into the same family for which they had too much attachment. They are born, and the fruitive activities continue again until the end of life. There are different prescribed rituals from birth until the end of life, and they are very much attached to such activities. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Let's do Mangalacharan. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Ena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Ena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। भूतेर्महद्भिर्ययिमा पुरो विभो निर्माय श्रेते यदमोषु पूरुषा भुङ्क्तेर्गुणांशो दश षोडशात्मका सोऽलङ्कृशिष्ट भगवान् वचांसि मे। श्रीकृष्ण शरणं शरणागतं कथा अमृतं सततपिबतं भक्ति वेदान्त मार्गपङ्कजं सर्वलोकऋषि देवजन प्रसन्नं सर्वलोकऋषि देवजन प्रसन्नं। Hare Krishna. So welcome again to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class. So, we are continuing to hear the conversation between Kapila Muni and Mother Devahuti. So, in response to Mother Devahuti's very important questions on how to handle the perplexities of material life, how to come out of the cycle of birth and death. So, in response to all this, Kapila Muni is giving different instructions. And in this chapter, titled Entanglement and Fruitive Activities, we are currently in the midst of a set of 6 verses, that is between text 61 to, that is from text 16 to 21. So in these set of 6 verses, Kapila Muni is speaking about people who are too materially attached. That is, persons who are too much attached to their family life or to their fruitive activities, to their activities in this material life. They are too attached to all that they want in this life, all their different material desires, to just accumulate too many things, and things that are not in relation to Shri Krishna. So they are driven by extreme passion, and they are full of anxieties, and they are overcome by uncontrolled senses. And these type of persons, it is described in these verses, they are called as Traivargika. That is, persons who are interested or focused mainly on the 3 Purusharthas. So what is that? Dharma, Artha, Kama. So they are only inclined towards their progress in this. Dharma is also doing their, duties, doing their different rituals, following different religious principles in their life. And then Artha, which is just their improving their economic status, just, getting wealth and just enjoying it for themselves without placing Krishna in the center of their life. All that they want is just their own enjoyment. And then Kama, which is sense gratification. Again, without placing Krishna in the center of one's life, when persons are engaged only in gratifying their own senses. So these type of people, they are not interested in the spiritual path. They are not really interested in hearing about Sri Krishna. They are not inclined towards taking to a devotional life or bhakti. Now we see so many such people out there in the world, or rather majority of the people out there in the world are overcome by these type of inclinations. So what do they do? Now, as part of their rituals, as part of following their religious principles, when they don't really understand that Sri Krishna is the supreme person, he is the one to whom one should devote one's life. Now what happens, such people, they are also inclined to just worshipping the demigods or their forefathers. So they don't go beyond that. They're just satisfied with that. They just think, okay, Krishna is also one of the gods. He's just like Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, Lord Indra, like that. They just equate Sri Krishna with whatever they know. They don't understand that Sri Krishna is a higher personality who is the absolute truth. And when one worships Sri Krishna, within that is included the worship of everyone else as well. So without that, when some people, we have seen that, they think that only my grandfather, my great grandfather, they played such an important role in my life. And therefore I'm going to devote my life to just remembering them. Things like that. There are people like that. So in today's verse we are hearing that such types of persons, at the end of their life, they go to Pitraloka, that is the planet where the departed ancestors live. So in today's verse we are hearing Dakshinena pataryamnaha Pitralokam vrajanti te prajam anu prajayante Samashananta kriya kritaha. Smashananta kriya kritaha. So we've heard in Bhagavad Gita that people go to different planets based on the different types of worship they offer. Does anyone know or remember the verse? So it is 9.25 in Bhagavad Gita. Yanti deva vrata devan pitrin yanti pitra vrataha bhutani yanti bhutejya yanti madhyajinopi mam. Okay, Bhagavad Gita 9.25. So even these verses are important because we realize where we should not go. We know that we have to go to Shri Krishna's planet, his beautiful abode, that is Goloka Vrindavana, to Krishna Loka. And also we have to know where we don't want to go. Because once we have a destination set, we have to be clear on our path. This is where I want to go. Because any other deviations, little bit here and there, we take a little left turn or a right turn that is not on the correct path, we might land up somewhere else. So we don't want to land up in Pitraloka. So what does this verse say? Those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who worship the ancestors go to the ancestors. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings, and those who worship me will live with me. So this is Shri Krishna's promise for us. So at least as practicing devotees, now at least we are still not pure devotees, we all still have a long way to go, but at least as practicing devotees we are set on the path to Krishna by the mercy of devotees, by the mercy of our Guru, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. We at least have our GPS set. Okay, this is where I'm headed to. But how we head there, we may face so many challenges. But then Shri Krishna sends his personal protection through his devotees. He gives us his mercy, his love, his compassion, and by being our dearmost friend, Shri Krishna guides us to stay steady on our path. So in this verse, where we saw that people who worship the demigods, they go to demigods, who worship ancestors, they go to ancestors, there Srila Prabhupada explains that when one has a desire to go to such planets, then it is possible for them to go there when they practice those type of rituals. So there are some specific sacrifices that people do. For example, I read there is something called as Agnihotra. So when they do certain yajnas like that, then they are propitiating those personalities. So when someone performs like the Agnihotra yajna, then they are invoking the presence of the ancestors. They are praying to them. And so they can even go to such planets by their conscious decision. And then it is said that by doing rituals like Darsha Paurna Masa, that is, people do certain sacrifices on the new moon day or on the full moon day. By doing all these certain rituals which are given in our Vedas, people are able to set their destinations where they want to go. And people can even go to ghostly planets. Now, that is really very scary, planets where we don't want to go to. But there are people who do things like black magic, and they practice like black arts. And by doing all that, they can become a yaksha, a rakshasa, or a pisacha. So like that, people, by following the wrong path, by following the rituals that are not conducive for their bhakti, they simply think that this is spirituality. And like that, such people are deluded. So what happens by doing that? They are again and again circling around in this cycle of material life, birth and death, birth and death. So here Srila Prabhupada explains that when they go to such planets, but even these are higher planets, Earth is here, then above Earth some planets are there. So even when they go there, once their pious credits are finished, they have to come back. So for example, in the purport to the verse from Canto 4, chapter 18, text 18, Srila Prabhupada describes about Pitraloka. What is this planet? So Pitraloka is a planet where the departed ancestors, where the forefathers live. So those who are only interested in their family welfare, those who are inclined to a very sinful life, who are not favorable to bhakti. So those type of people, by doing certain rituals, they can attain these planets. And here what happens, those souls, they are, they live in Pitraloka, and then again they have to come back to planet Earth. And sometimes what happens when such types of souls, when they go there, and when they are still not fully happy, what happens? In their next birth, they may not get a material body to fulfill their desires. So such type of souls, what happens? They still have their mind, intelligence, and their false ego. But along with that, just with that subtle body, they are trying to fulfill their desires, but they cannot, because they haven't got a material body to fulfill those desires. And those type of entities are called as ghosts. Now, I'm not an expert in speaking about ghosts, but I'm just repeating what I've read. So, these ghosts, I just feel like laughing because it's just... What happens, they are just hanging around there, like they are not able to fulfill their desires. So then what happens, it is said that when people perform certain rituals and when they please the demigod of Pitraloka, the leader there, that is Aryama. His name is Aryama. So when they offer sacrifices to that demigod, and when they please him, and when they pray for their forefathers, then what happens? These residents of the Pitraloka, sometimes if they are fortunate that someone who is after them is praying to Aryama. Again, who is this Aryama? He is a representative of Lord Vishnu. So without praying to Lord Vishnu, simply just praying to Aryama is not going to do anything, because Shri Krishna is the Supreme Lord. So it's a bit like when we come to the temple, unless we give our offerings, and then the pujari is the one who takes the offering and gives it to Krishna, isn't it? So if we just brought our offerings and we just left it, say, outside the temple room, thinking that, okay, somehow it will go to Krishna, someone else who walks in might take the offerings and walk away. It happens. So we have to give it to the right person. So when we give it to, when we worship Shri Krishna through the devotional path, through devotees, then what happens? By doing all that, we are also praying for all the living entities, let alone our forefathers. So, and sometimes if one wants to pray consciously for their forefathers, they can still do that, but by praying to Shri Krishna. So when people offer such sacrifices, that is, when they try to please this Lord called Aryama, then those souls who are in the Pitraloka, without just roaming around as ghosts, they may get a material body, but again they have to come back to planet Earth, and then they again fulfill their desires. Now, this is a crucial step, because even though they've had material desires, by coming back to planet Earth, if in this lifetime, being a human, if they come in contact with a devotee, if they get the blessings and mercy of Shri Krishna through the devotees, And if they take to the spiritual path, then what happens? They have an escape route. They don't have to again go back to another planet, again come down, but instead, simply by serving devotees, simply by serving their guru, simply by serving Vaishnavas who are representatives of Krishna, through their mercy, when they get an opportunity to serve Shri Krishna and Srimati through Srimati Radharani, then just from this lifetime, those souls, they get an opportunity to go back to Krishna Loka so that they don't have to keep coming back again and again into this material world. So in this verse, another point that we saw is Dakshinena, that is the southern course of the sun. So simply by reading this, we might think that, just by the course of the sun, during that, it is said Uttarayan and Dakshinayan. So Uttarayan is the phase of the year, which is daytime for the demigods. That is the first 6 months of the year. And then the second 6 months of the year, that this is calculated based on the northern hemisphere, where India is located. Now for us, this is the time where we are moving towards the sun. So these things change as per northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere. But again, is it just this that is controlling the passage of any living entity to where they go? We understand through Lord Brahma's prayers. Yachakshuresha savita sakalagrahanam raja samasta suramurti rashesha teja yasyāgnaya brahmati sambrita kala chakro govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. So in this verse, Lord Brahma is saying, I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, under whose control even the sun, which is considered to be the eye of the Lord, rotates within the fixed orbit of the eternal time. The sun is the king of all planetary systems and has unlimited potency in heat and light. So here Srila Prabhupada explains that even the sun, which is so powerful, which is brilliantly shining and giving heat and light, is still under the control of Shri Krishna. And Shri Krishna states in Bhagavad Gita that he is the sun himself also. So Shri Krishna is the moon. Shri Krishna is the sun. So everything is ultimately under the control of Shri Krishna. So for each soul, Shri Krishna decides the pathway where they are headed to. Whether they are going to Pitraloka, whether they are going to, Vaikuntha planets, what happens to them, while we have our own free will to choose as well, along with that we need Shri Krishna's mercy, because without that it is not possible. So essentially what we are seeing in these verses is that wherever one goes, even if one goes to the higher planets, until they reach Shri Krishna's planet, which is Goloka Vrindavana, people keep coming back to the material world again and again. So there are some beautiful verses in the 9th chapter of the Gita, which I thought we can reflect and put this understanding into a context. So in 9.21 we hear Tetam bhuktva svargalokam vishalam Kshine punye martyalokam vishanti Evam trayi dharmam anuprapanna Gata gatam kama kama labhante. So, when they have thus enjoyed vast heavenly sense pleasure and the results of their pious activities are exhausted, they return to this mortal planet again. So, people who go to various different planets, once their pious credits are finished, even if they reach heavenly planets, they come back to planet Earth. Thus, those who seek sense enjoyment by adhering to the principles of the three Vedas achieve only repeated birth and death. And then we also see Abrahma bhuvana loka punar avartino juna mam upetya tu kaunteya punar janma na vidyate. From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery, wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. So this is what Sri Krishna is telling us. He is giving us a promise that once we attain to his abode, yat gatva na nivartante, we will never come back to this earth. So that is what Mother Devahuti is also eager to hear. How to come out of this cycle of repeated birth and death, going up, coming down, going up, coming down. We don't want to do that. We want to just go back to Krishna and serve him wherever he is. Now, by Krishna's desire, even if we have to come back to this earth, what do we desire? Wherever I am, I simply want to serve your devotees. I simply want to serve you, Krishna. So that is our wish. No matter where we are situated, let Krishna decide that. But wherever we are situated, let us not forget Krishna. Let us always remember Krishna. So that is a devotee's desire. So in the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, which is titled The Most Confidential Knowledge, Krishna is giving us a pathway on how to reach his abode, on how to go back to Krishna, how to serve him with love and devotion. And there are many beautiful verses there, and Srila Prabhupada gives us very, very beautiful points in his purpose. So I thought we will just look at a few of them. So in 9.22, Ananyas chintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. But those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. So here Shri Krishna is beautifully telling us that once we start our worship of him, once somebody is on the path of bhakti, now we may have certain things that are favorable for us to practice bhakti, and there may be things that are lacking in our life. But what happens? Krishna says that he supports us. He preserves the good things that we have and he fulfills, and he, what does he say? He carries what we lack. So he personally comes and assists us on our path back to him. So here Srila Prabhupada says that such a devotee whose desire is to achieve the association of the Supreme Lord, what happens? Such a devotee undoubtedly approaches the Lord without difficulty. How is that possible? By the mercy of the Lord, such a devotee never comes back to this material condition of life. And Kshema refers to the merciful protection of the Lord, which is what we are also meditating on in this beautiful Kartik month, the merciful nature of Sri Krishna in his form as Sri Yashovati Nandan Damodar. So Krishna, through his merciful protection, he helps the devotee to ultimately reach his lotus feet. The Lord helps the devotee to achieve Krishna consciousness by yoga, and when he becomes fully Krishna conscious, the Lord protects him from falling down to a miserable conditioned life, which is what we are seeing in today's verse, in these verses as well. Going, coming back, going, coming back. But when we have the Lord's merciful protection, then we are assured that we are not returning again. So we see Mahatmanastu mam partha daivim prakritim ashritaha bhajantyananya manaso nyatva bhutadim avyayam. O son of Pritha, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. So, in the purport to this verse, again, Srila Prabhupada says that once one surrenders to the Supreme Lord, what happens? We come under the shelter of Sri Krishna's superior energy. And who is that? Srimati Radharani. So we come under the love and care and protection of Srimati Radharani herself. So that is Daivi Prakriti. So when we come under the protection of Srimati Radharani, then what happens? Srila Prabhupada says, so when one is promoted in that way by surrendering to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one attains to the stage of a great soul, Mahatma. So then we are not worried about oscillating between taking ghostly bodies or, ghosts actually. They don't have a body. So becoming ghosts or becoming ancestors or becoming, anything else. So what does one become? One becomes a, what do they become? Mahatma. Okay, that's what we saw in today's verse. Mahatmanastu mampartha. One attains to the stage of a great soul. Now, by reflecting on ourselves, we know, or at least I can say, we are not like great souls, but we are on the path to becoming that by coming under the shelter of Srimati Radharani, by taking to the path of bhakti. And what do such souls do? Satatam kirtayanto mam. Yeah, we can chant together. Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha dhridavrataha namasyantascha mam bhaktya nityayukta upasate. So such souls are constantly chanting the glories of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And endeavoring with great determination. So no matter what happens, such souls are determined to stay on their path. And then what happens when such souls, when they keep worshipping Krishna with such love and devotion, then we invoke the mercy of Krishna. And on that note, I thought we'll quickly hear a little bit of the Damodar Leela and then we will just go on to the other verses, because without the mercy of Krishna, it is not possible for us to even stay determined on our path. So we've seen how by Mother Yashoda's love for Krishna, she was able to simply bind him to this wooden grinding mortar. Once when she was churning yogurt and she was making butter just to give it to her darling son Krishna. And then as she was churning, she was singing songs. She was remembering Krishna's activities. And then she realized that as she was churning and singing, Krishna comes running to her. And then he says, Mama, I want to be fed. And so what does Mother Yashoda do? She takes Krishna, she starts feeding him. And then she realizes that she's left a pot of milk on the stove. Again, that milk was very special. She was making it for Krishna. But then that milk was going to overflow. So what did she do? She had priorities now. So she thought, okay, let me place Krishna down. Let me go look after this milk and come back. So she put Krishna down from her lap and she went to attend to the stove. And then what happened? Krishna, immediately, he just becomes angry. And he takes a stone and he breaks the pot and all the butter is just scattered all over the place. And Krishna takes the butter and he starts eating, smearing it all over him. And then he gives the butter to all his friends and all the monkeys. And then what does he do? He runs and he hides inside a room. And then Mother Yashoda comes chasing with a stick in her hand. She's trying to look, where is this little naughty Krishna? And then Krishna's running and Mother Yashoda's running behind him. And as she's running, she's feeling so tired that all the malati flowers from her hair, they're all falling down. As she's running, finally she catches Krishna. And then she says, now I'm going to tie you up with a big rope so that you will not run away and do any more mischief. So she catches Krishna, she places him in front of this wooden grinding mortar, she takes a big rope and she starts putting a knot around his belly. But as she's trying to tie him up, she's just about 2 fingers short. She's not able to put a knot. And she's adding more ropes and all the gopis are all laughing looking at this. Look at this, Mother Yashoda, and she's not able to tie up just her little son. And then she's adding more ropes. But then when Krishna, out of his mercy, when he glances at Mother Yashoda, then Mother Yashoda puts a knot and then she ties him up. So here our acharyas explain that Shri Krishna, who is the Supreme Lord, everyone is under his control. Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, Lord Indra. And today we saw even the sun god. That is the Lord who rules the sun planet. All the demigods. Everyone is under the control of Shri Krishna. He is Atmaram. He is all blissful. Even the Yamaraj runs in fear of Sri Krishna. But such a Lord, he comes under the control of the love of his pure devotee. And that is what we are seeing in the Damodar Leela. Mother Yashoda was able to bind him not just with the rope, but it was her pure love for Krishna. That is what brought him under her control. So how is this in relation to what we are trying to discuss today? When one is set on the path to Krishna, now we have to know how to serve him, how to serve his devotees. So we hear in the Gita, Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati taddaham bhaktyupahritam ashnami prayatatmanaha. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit or water, I will accept it. So as Sri Krishna is giving us a pathway in this chapter 9 of the Gita on how to go back to him, he says that whatever we offer him, we have to offer it with love and devotion. So without that, there is no point. We might cook up a big meal, but if there is no ingredient of love in that, then it's not really pleasing to Krishna. So in every activity of our life, when we are trying to serve Krishna, we have to ensure that we are adding the ingredient of love. And that we can take from Mother Yashoda. Whatever she did for Krishna, it was filled with love for Krishna. So, again Shri Krishna says, Yad karoshi yad ashnasi, yad juhoshi dadasi yad tapasyasi kaunteya, tad kurushva madarpanam. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me. So whatever we do it as an offering for Krishna. So when someone has a lot of money or wealth, and when they know that we are building a temple for Krishna, then what should we do? We should not just be, okay, this is my money. We have to think, let me give it for the service of Shri Radha Gopinath. So when we are aimed towards pleasing Shri Radha Gopinath's senses, then what happens? When Shri Krishna is pleased, automatically by serving Krishna, everyone is pleased. So one doesn't have to endeavor anything separately. But then we are not pleasing Krishna because we want to get pleased. We please Krishna for his pleasure. That is unmotivated bhakti. So there's this beautiful verse where there are so many verses, but in this one, Srila Prabhupada says a very beautiful point, and I thought we should definitely reflect on that. So 9.29, Samoham sarva bhuteshu na me dveshyosti na priyaha ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya mayi te teshu chapyaham. I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I am equal to all. But whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I am also a friend to him. So in this verse, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says that the very phrase Krishna consciousness suggests that those who are in such consciousness are living transcendentalists situated in Him. So the Lord says, Mayite, that means they are in me. And naturally, as a result, the Lord is also in them. So here Srila Prabhupada gives a beautiful example. That is, when we look at a golden ring. Now there is gold, and in the golden ring there is a beautiful diamond that is set. Now the diamond is shining, and because the diamond is shining, the gold ring is also shining beautifully. So like that, when a devotee is constantly engaged in serving Krishna, then when that such a person constantly invokes Krishna's presence in his or her heart, then as Sri Krishna shines as the diamond, then the devotee also shines. So when the devotee is trying to serve Krishna, then what happens? Krishna also begins to serve that devotee. And that is what we are seeing in the Damodar Leela, where when Mother Yashoda wants to pour her lavan on Krishna, then Krishna also wants to serve her, and he comes under her control. So just like this shining diamond that's in the golden ring, we have to always remember that we want to keep Krishna as the diamond in the center of our life. And simply by serving Krishna constantly, that is, Manmana Bhava Madbhakto, together, Manmana Bhava Madbhakto, Madhyaji Mam Namaskuru, Mame Vaishasi Yuktvaivam, Atmanam Matparayanaha. Engage your mind always in thinking of me. Become my devotee. Offer obeisances to me and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me. So this is the beautiful point that we can take from today's class, where we are hearing that people go to different planets and they come back. But when we are constantly thinking about Krishna, constantly serving him, constantly serving his devotees, then through Lord Krishna's mercy, which flows to us through Srimati Radharani, and then through all her associates, through Nityananda Prabhu, through Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, through our Guru Parampara, through Srila Prabhupada, through all our Shiksha Gurus, through all the Vaishnavas, when we receive that mercy, then one is assured of reaching Krishna's lotus feet. Then we don't have to worry about Pitraloka, this loka, that loka, any loka, but we know that we are assured of going back to Krishna. So we will just hear this little verse from Sri Radhikashtakam, where we are praying for Srimati Radharani's mercy. May Sri Radhika bestow upon me the service of her own lotus feet. That is, Mahyam Atma Pada Padma Dasya Dastu Radhika. So I thought we will just look at, there are 8 verses in this Sri Radhikashtakam, which when we can all go back home and if you can look at it and recite all the 8 verses, because this month is also called as the Urja. You know, people perform the Urja Vrata, or this month is very dear to Srimati Radharani. So during this month, when we please Srimati Radharani, then we can invoke Srimati Radharani's love and care and protection for us always. So there are many verses. I'll try to look at just one of them. रासलास्य गीत नर्म सत्कलालि पंडिता प्रेम रम्य रूप वेश सद्गुणालि मंडिता विश्वनव्य गोपयोषित आलितोपियादिका मह्यम आत्मपाद पद्मदास्य दास्तु राधिका. She is very learned in many transcendental arts such as performing in the rasa dance, singing and joking. She is decorated with many divine qualities such as loving nature, exquisite beauty, and wonderful garments and ornaments. Even among the cowherd damsels of Vraja, who are praised by the entire universe, she is the best in every way. May Shri Radhika bestow upon me the service of her own lotus feet. So let us just sing this last line. Mahyam Atma Pada Padma. Repeat. Mahyam Atma Pada Padma Dasya Dastu Radhika. Mahyam Atma Pada Padma Dasya Dastu Radhika. Mahyam Atma Pada Padma Dasya Dastu Radhika. Today when we go back home, we can try to learn at least one verse from Radhikashtakam, or at least try to memorize this line. Okay? Mahyam Atma Pada Padma Dasya Dastu Radhika. Jai Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Gurudevi ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrindi ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande. Gaur Bhakta Vrindi ki jai. Any questions?